Saturday. Happy Saturday to you. As y'all know, I say it a few times because Facebook is spinning and spinning and spinning. And I want to make sure everybody gets it. All right, we're live now. So happy Saturday, happy Saturday to everyone out there listening. You are tapped in, tuned in to the Hyacinth Henderson show. So every Saturday, I join you for some conversation. I'm going to wait for a few other people. I'm getting a lot of alerts. So if you're listening, you're like, why is she pausing? I'm getting a lot of alerts. The things are going off and dinging and tinging. So, all right, let me get focused. All right. Happy Saturday. You're tuned in, tapped into the Hyacinth Henderson show. Each and every week when I am available, I do the Hyacinth Henderson show. And on the Hyacinth Henderson show, we talk wealth, wisdom, well-being, all of that good stuff. The show is designed with you in mind. It's designed with self-development in mind, and yours. Okay. All right. So y'all get in here, get comfortable. I missed you all last week. I am back in the saddle after spending a glorious time in Carefree, Arizona on a solo trip. And I was not in here last Saturday. Meg says, I was waiting for the notification. Thank you, ma'am. Yes. I am here. I am here. Hey, Meg, how are you? Miss Redhead, how are you? You see, I have on my earrings Mrs. Redhead made for me. 'Tis the season, a lot of celebrating this weekend going on. So Miss Redhead made me some nice earrings. And Lawrence Moore is here. June is here. Damian Nelson is here. Hey, y'all. She says, I like your earrings. Thank you. Someone special made them. They're custom. These is custom earrings. Miss Dorothy, happy Saturday. Hey, Sin, happy Saturday. All right, go ahead and affirm yourself. Yes, June started. I achieved the seemingly impossible. I achieved the seemingly impossible. The other day, I was listening to Rick Ross's book, his latest book, The Perfect Day to Boss Up, and it's a great listen, right? So I listened to it in like a day. It's like 3 hours. So great listen. And I heard him say something about he achieves the seemingly impossible. And I was like, come on now, Hyacinth. All right, I hope my people pick up what I've been putting down. I'll be trying to put y'all up on stuff. So affirm yourself. You achieve the seemingly impossible. You are your greatest asset. Whatever other affirmation comes to you, affirm yourself in the comments and get comfortable. Today, we're going to talk about the metaverse. Ooh, right? And so for those of you who may not have heard about it, the metaverse is Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg he made an announcement saying that he was changing the name of his company to Meta for the metaverse, as he spends billions with the B of dollars building out this experience, this augmented reality experience, metaverse. So a lot of people were thinking, oh my gosh, Facebook, the next day after that announcement, it's going to be called Meta now. Not necessarily so. So his company name is changed to Meta. However, Facebook as we know it for now, as he builds out the metaverse, will still be intact, right? And so I have to admit to you all, when I heard Meta, the metaverse, the little voice in the inside of my head kept going meditate. Metaverse, meditate. And so I want to bring that to you all. And I want to encourage you to, every time you hear that word, to drop into meditate, right? So program that mind so that you can make that connection. So the metaverse, again, is a place, it's an augmented reality where you can create your own reality. Ooh, doesn't this sound familiar? Right? I said, oh my God, look at this stuff that's coming here, right? It allows you to take part of your experiences outside of the metaverse and bring them into a virtual reality or augmented reality. And so you can live part of your life in the flesh as a human and part of your life by putting on these glasses in the metaverse. And so I thought this is so interesting, right? So I want y'all to know that anytime I am past the 9:30 mark, it's not because I am at Cracker Barrel eating my favorite breakfast or something like that, or I'm flipping the channels. It is because literally some days I may get, like I got the message for this yesterday and I wrote a whole page of notes, but then when I got up and went through my practice this morning, I had some more information. So I get down on the flow. Everybody get down on the flow, right? And write what comes to me. So that's the only reason why I'm delayed. I didn't even have my smoothie this morning, okay? I'm just on lemon water today. But I have a very important message and I want to share this with you all. So when I started hearing metaverse and meditate, right? So that started downloading to me. And then another phrase came to me and it says, if you're a Goody Mob fan, this is back in 1995 from a Goody Mob song. The hook goes, seems like we're fighting for our spirit and mind. Seems like we're fighting for our spirit and mind. All right, so let's break this down. So the name of the song is Fighting. If you are a Goody Mob fan, it was released in 1995. You can go back and listen to it. If you've never heard of Goody Mob, if you're not a Goody Mob fan, if you don't want to hear the music, I don't want you to miss the message because of the messenger. Google is your friend here. Type into Google, Fighting by Goody Mob lyrics. Download the lyrics, read the lyrics, not when you're driving and scrolling or you're supposed to be on a conference call and scrolling, but read the lyrics when you're seated, you got a nice cup of warm lemon water or tea or whatever, and read them and dissect them. And you're going to say, wow, this was 1995 when they released this song, and now it's 2021. All right, so let's get into this. So here's the thing. People are fascinated. They're like, wow, I get to put on these glasses and I get to create my own reality and I can be anywhere I want and do anything I want to do. Well, first of all, I want you to know that you can create your reality right now. Okay. But before we get into that, metamorphosis. I love that. Before we get into that, I want to paint a picture for you because I want y'all to stay with me. I want you to stay with me and pick up what I'm putting down. Imagine that you are having your family reunion, right? And so you're having a family reunion. Most Black folks have family reunions either every year or every other year. And so a family reunion is when your family from all over comes together for a weekend. And it's like everybody is like having a big party. You have a series of events. You got the kids, the aunties and uncles, the grands. Everybody is there, different generations. And we're just enjoying ourselves, connecting and having a great time. An abundance of food, drinks, laughter. Get that picture in your mind. Imagine you being at your family reunion and y'all having such a great time. And this group of people walk up and they're like, hey, what y'all doing? And they're like, yeah, this is our reunion. Y'all come on in. You know, Black folks love to invite people to the barbecue. They say one thing that aligns with us, but we're not going to go there. You welcome to the barbecue. Anyway, stop that. So you're like, hey, we're at the family reunion. Come on in. And they come in and stuff like that. And child, before you know it, they are killing the kids, raping the adults, killing the kids, raping the adults, killing the adults, enslaving them, and they have killed off 95% of the population. Pick up what I'm putting down, baby. Pick up what I'm putting down. So you went from having a good time living your life. People walk up, they say, and then here's the thing. So as they killed off most of the population, there were a few survivors. Years later, when you read about it in the history books, they say, hey, Christopher Columbus discovered Hispaniola and he saved them from violence and disease and they were savages. They left off the part of how the people of that part of what we know is Haiti, between Haiti and Dominican Republic, were living their life, living their fabulous best life. And so it's not quite the story that we were fed as children. And as I start to educate myself more and study more and read more, if you're an avid listener, I don't know about avid listener, if that's the correct word. If you're a consistent listener, a loyal listener of any of our shows, you've heard me say several times I was sleeping in high school. And so now as I start to just read and educate and stuff, I'd be like, you know what? I'm so glad I was sleeping in high school because I don't have a lot of deprogramming to do. I don't hold on to these firm educational beliefs. And so thank y'all. I'm glad I was sleeping in high school, right? And so if we think about this and how for so long we celebrated Christopher Columbus Day, right? And so now more recently, within the last 5 years or so, society stopped celebrating Christopher Columbus Day. But for decades we did because of the story that was presented, right? So I want you to pick up what I'm putting down. Okay, now let's go back to the metamorphosis. Thank you for that, Meg. All right, so augmented reality. We don't yet know what effects the augmented reality has on our mind. Go back to what dropped in my spirit. Goody Mob. Seems like we're fighting for our spirit and mind. Right now, mental real estate is at a prime price. Mental real estate is at a prime price. How do you know that? Look at the news. Look at social media. Look at all the fear mongering going on. Mental real estate is at a prime price. And now they've said, hey, y'all, we are going to introduce metaverse and augmented reality where you can do this, and all the pros and the cons, and you can be at your desk. And if you watch Zuck's video of this, first of all, drop a 1 in the comments if you watched it, and then drop a 2 in the comments if you picked up that that wasn't the human Zuck in the video. It was actually a virtual version of him. And if you didn't watch it, Google it and go back and watch it, and you'll see. And it looks very real unless you're tapped in. So if you watch the video where he talked about the metaverse, I want you to go back, drop a 1 in the comment. If you didn't watch it, watch it. And if you watched it and picked up and was like, wait a minute, this don't look like a human, drop a 2 in the comment section. All right. So they're promoting it and saying, oh my goodness, you know, you're going to be able to work from home, but have this environment and do all these cool things and meet your friends. And they're promoting all the cool things. Remember how I told y'all, they told us about Christopher Columbus. They promoted all the savior story. They didn't tell us the backstory. It was many years later that we had to educate ourselves. And for some of y'all didn't even know what I just told you, right? And so we're still celebrating Thanksgiving, right? And so when you really do the research, you're like, maybe I don't want to celebrate Thanksgiving anymore, because it's not really a celebration, it's a massacre. But I digress. Let me come back. So the augmented reality, they're saying, hey, this is so beautiful. We can do X, Y, and Z, and it has all these perks and benefits and things like that. And he is building up this anticipation so that when it becomes available, when the glasses drop, the masses will run out and purchase because they want to be a part of the metaverse. And they want to have their glasses on all day, 24 hours a day, 20 hours, 18 hours a day. Think about how much time you use social media now. And if you don't really know how much time you use social media, it doesn't matter if you have an iPhone or an Android, there is a setting that will allow you to see how much time you're on social media. So if you're on social media for 10 hours a day, think about having those glasses on and being in that augmented reality and what effects is going to have on your brain, what neurological effects it's going to have. We don't know all of the effects, but there will be effects, and that's a fact, right? And so for those of you by now, you may know that I have 2 children. My daughter is 21 years old, and I give her the freedom to do a lot of things. And we have a very open relationship as far as communication. One of the things that I tell her, and I don't like demand a lot from her, but one of the things that I kind of just like muscle down on is don't use drugs and don't have babies. Babies, okay, we can kind of, but I'm not ready to be a grandma. I've been raising you for the past 21 years. I really wanted some space before I'm grandkids. Don't use drugs. I tell her not to use drugs because I tell her that your mind is the most precious thing that you have. So there's a lot of things that you can do and you can come back from. But when you start using drugs that alter the cells in your brain, that alter your neurological makeup, then we have more problems than we know, right? So it starts off as a fun night with friends, but something is forever altered. So I want you to understand the importance of your mind. It is very important. It is not just fluff. Hey, this is coming, I want in, right? Okay. So people are being enticed with the possibilities of creating your own reality. I'm here to tell you that if you meditate, you can create your own reality right now today. I created my reality. I create my reality every single day. You can create your reality right now today. As a matter of fact, let me go back. You are creating your reality right now. Some are intentionally creating their reality. We put intention and action and thoughts behind it. And so we drive that reality in the direction that we want it to go in. And then others are saying, well, I'm creating my reality, but I'm not doing it so intentionally because I'm just like being drugged along in whatever direction life takes me. So when you think about that, I want you to think metaverse, meditate. Metaverse says I can create my own reality, which is a false reality, because when you take them glasses off, ta-da, you back where you belong, right? You take them glasses off and you are back right there. But when you meditate, because you want to create your reality, then you have the opportunity to get some downloads, to clear your mind and go forward. All right. So our thoughts, I talked about that. Thoughts, tension, and actions create our experiences. So why am I bringing all this to you? Because I want you to know that you must be aware of the story that you're being told. I want you to be aware of that. We are no longer living in a space where we can just take what they tell us. We got to think a few layers deeper. How do we know that? Well, we just spent the past 18, almost 24 months in a position where things were stripped away from us. Travel, dining out, theater, other activities. And then the only way you can get them back is if you do what I want you to do. If you take this, I'll give you that back. So I stripped that away from you. And that's a classic. This is classic manipulation, right? So this is classic. I'm going to create the deficit, and then I'm going to come in with the savior complex. So I put you on lockdown, I restrict your movement, I take away all these things, and then I'm going to rescue you at the end. Here's what you need. But here's the thing. I was looking up the other day, and I said, you know what? I really, really want to go to Jamaica. But Jamaica, y'all still on lockdown and all that. I ain't got time for that, right? Curfews and stuff, right? So I was like, well, let me think about Bahamas. And I said, well, let me look at the Bahamas and let's see what the travel requirements are, because you have to do that these days. And it said, okay, travel requirements for this set of passengers and travel requirements for this set of passengers. They were identically the same. They were the same, identically the same requirements, right? And so for the set of passengers that society wants us to believe are the saviors, they put it in bold that you still have to do X, Y, and Z. You still got to do what these people over here did. And they bolded it in that section. I said, well, by golly gee whiz, what is that? All right, let me get back to this. So I want you to think about that. Think about that when we talk about food shortages. Think about that when we talk about slowing down delivery and disrupting the food change and the delivery change and all supply and demand and inflation and all this and all this. Think about that. So when you hear all of these things, because let me explain something to you, the problem and the solution are on the same axis. The problem and the solution are on the same axis. The problem is not far from the solution. The solution is not far from the problem. So when you are listening to this, if you're one of those that are tapped into the media and then getting into that vibration of fear, oh my God, they say we ain't gonna have this. Oh my God, we're not gonna have that. Think about what's coming behind that, okay? All right. So now they said you can create your own reality. You can travel wherever you want to travel when you put on these glasses. I want you to understand that you are here to intentionally create your reality and to make a choice. You have to make a choice. No one can make the choice for you. Your family, your friends, your boss, your lovers, your mates cannot make the choice for you. Your mind is prime real estate, and you get to create your experiences right now before the metaverse is released by your thoughts, your intention, and your action. There's a lot of speculation about why Zuck, I get to call him that, right? Just made myself available to call him that. Why Zuck announced this. And a lot of speculation is that, because Apple's latest update restricts, they included all these privacy settings, right? So it's a lot that goes on, and I'm explaining this because I want you guys to learn to look deeper than what's presented to you, right? So when you do the iOS 14 update, now you always get these pop-ups about privacy. You visit this website, it tracks privacy, and so the average person will say, I don't want anybody tracking me. I'm going to decline all of this. Well, when you decline the privacy and say, no, I don't want to be tracked, Facebook can no longer send you ads based on the websites that you visited and things like that. Some people say that this is great. Some people say that this is not so great. If you are a small business, if you are an entrepreneur, I know a lot of entrepreneurs are being birthed right now or have been birthed during the pandemic. Facebook ads is where you're going to make a lot of your money. That's where you're going to get your products, your service exposed to other people. So before you click that no, you got to think about this, right? And most people don't think about that. So because Apple released that update, it has hurt Facebook's ad share revenue. Because I know a lot of you use Facebook to share your food and the latest things you got, and sometimes to keep in touch with old classmates. But Facebook is really, their revenue comes from advertising. It doesn't come from you uploading your family reunion pictures. They don't care about that. So when the advertising dollars are hurt, then there has to be a movement. Like, how do we get around this? So there's a lot of speculation saying, well, Zuck quickly, he just released the metaverse because of that, in response to that, and he's going to be making some changes to one up. Well, there may be some truth to that. We don't yet know. However, I want you to understand that this has been in the works for many, many years. Before I went to Arizona, so it wasn't last Saturday, the Saturday before that, I talked about history and technology I did not know that I was going to then be talking about this today. I didn't connect the dots. I don't plan my shows a month out. I told y'all I get the downloads. Sometimes it's the morning of. So if you haven't watched that show, go back and watch that. And I want you to have the understanding that things are always being created. Things are happening. What you see in front of you is only a small fraction, a very minute, smaller than my pinky fingernail of what's actually taking place and what's being planned. And since we know that, we can stop being enticed by the shiny object in front of us and start to say, okay, I'm woke now. I'm waking up. I am committed to this awakening journey. Now let me see what I can do. Okay, so now what are your takeaways? What are your action items? Because I know I dropped a lot on y'all and there's a lot more that we could talk about. But what are your takeaways? The number one takeaway that I want you to get from today's show is to, number one, be empowered. We ain't scared. We ain't never scared, right? So this is not, this is not fear mongering. This is not woe is me. What is we gonna do? You have everything you need to do everything you need to do. This is a perfect weekend to also connect with your ancestors. It is All Saints Day coming up, right? And so I don't know if you intentionally believe in ancestors or not, but when you say things like, oh, that's my grandma who's already transitioned, that's an ancestor. When you say things like, oh, this child has been here before, you're talking about what? Reincarnation, dare we say? So when I share with you that this is the perfect weekend for you to connect and just spend some time, like, let me think about my granny or somebody who's passed along. This is a perfect weekend for that. I'm not going into details as to why, but it's the perfect weekend. The next 3 days are the perfect time for you to do that. So be empowered. Don't be scared. Now that I have shared this information with you, ask yourself, what are you going to do about it? And I'm going to go on the www.world wide web and say anyone right now who is living in lack, who does not have enough, who is broke, who is woe is me, and does not have a debilitating mental disability. I didn't say physical. Mental disability or limitation is making a choice. It could be an unintentional choice to be there. Why? Because you have access to everything you need. It's not like 20 years ago when we had to beg, plead, and pray to get into rooms. The internet gives us access to rooms. You have self-published authors. You can start a podcast. You can start whatever you want to start without begging and pleading and writing a snail mail letter and begging for a seat at the table. So if there is no mental limitation and mental disability, then you got to sit with that and say, oh, this is me. Why am I here? And I say mental and not physical because the other day I was reading something in Forbes, and I think it was Forbes. I don't know where I was reading. I was reading something. And the lady shared a story of her daughter who was born with a disability. She was born disabled, and it took a while for them to realize. She was born in Germany. It took a while for them to realize that she was having seizures because of her disability. Long story short, her daughter never walked. So her daughter never walked, and when her daughter turned 18, the government said, hey, we're going to give you a Social Security check of $700 a month. Well, the daughter said, no, you can keep that $700 a month. I can do better for myself. It wasn't Forbes. It was Quora, Quora, Quora. Google that. Don't ask me what it is. Google it. I get the inboxes. And so I read this story, and she said, no, keep your money. And I was like, well, wherever they live, if you take the Social Security money, maybe you can't work. I don't know. But this is what it said in the story, that she said, no, keep their money. And she borrowed $1,000 from her mom. She had turned that $1,000. She invested it into different things. I'm not going to tell y'all what it is because this is not about that. But she turned that $1,000 into, when her mom first posted it years ago, $500,000. And as of July of 2020, it was $700,000. And one of the things in the article, in the posting that the mother shared about her daughter, was that her daughter she made the commitment to study stocks and different investments, and she read, and she was committed to it. That's all she did. She couldn't walk. She tried to go to college, but and her mom, she went to college for a while, but when it came time for finals, she kept having seizures, so she had to drop out of college. She didn't say, okay, I'm going to stop and just sit here and take this 771. At that point, she said, let me get $1,000. Let me borrow from you, and she started reading, perfecting her craft. So when I say that, I'm sharing this story because there are a lot of you with a lot of potential, but you won't perfect your craft. There are a lot of you with a lot of good ideas, but you're spending way too much time watching The Real Housewives, scrolling Instagram, going out, hanging out. Hey girl, what you doing in the group chat, traveling, doing all. It ain't time for that. You broke. And then you want to borrow money. And then you don't have health insurance or life insurance. If you invest your time into picking one thing and investing in perfecting that craft, you too can have a success story where you say, well, I had all these things stacked against me, but I said no to a lot of this and yes to a lot of that. So when you look at Hyacinth, I don't want you to think that Hyacinth was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. I had all these things stacked against me. I said no to this and yes to that. And so there's a lot of education. There's a lot of reading. I'm forever a student. Why? Because I want to keep learning more so that I can continue to change my reality. So I'm sharing that with you because I want you to be encouraged and understand and empowered that as I tell you these things, it's not a what am I going to do? It's what is we going to do? It is what is you going to do? It's not what is we going to do? We all going to hell in a handbasket. It is what are you going to do about it? That's the first thing. The second thing I want you to do is to protect your mind. So play defense, right? So there's defense and offense. You need both. The defense is to protect your mind. Be intentional about how you invest your time. This starts now. This doesn't start when the metaverse becomes available. This starts right now. I've been talking to you day in and day out, week in and week out, about choosing your friends wisely, choosing what you put in your body wisely, disconnecting from the television, disconnecting from the social media, changing your music. The defensive move is to be proactive and protect your mind, because I started this episode with telling you that your mind is prime real estate right now. There is a war on your mental, your pineal gland, your third eye, the ability to be able to see. How you see that and I can't see it, baby? You looking with your two eyes and you got the third one that you didn't even pay attention to. It's time for that. Hyacinth, how do I do that? YouTube, right? Google. We're in the day and age where if you're on the internet asking me a question about something that I have shared with you, we got some work to do, baby, because right after the next tab over is Google. What is a pineal gland? How can I decalcify? Go down the rabbit hole. So that's the second thing. Defense, protect your mind. The third thing is offense, right? So we're not going to completely shy away from the metaverse. We'll be antiquated. We'll still be stuck in the Stone Ages if we do that, right? So it's either evolve or die. That's just the only two options. Either you're evolving or you're dying. And so there will be a point in time. We're the early adapters. We're hearing about it early. This is going to go down in the history books. They're going to tell that story one way. Think about how they told you about the Christopher Columbus child, okay? Straight cold killer, mass murderer. And they painted this whole savior picture for him. So this is going to go down in the history books. You don't have the option to say, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm going to stay with my rotary phone and my phone that goes like this. Nope, nope, no. No, that's not what we do. We educate ourselves. Educate yourself and your children. I didn't say other grown people. Your children are your responsibility. Doesn't matter how old they are. Educate yourself and educate your children. I hear somebody saying, hi, I said, my kids won't listen to me. Well, that's because you haven't demonstrated. People listen to you when you demonstrate. When they see you and you doing what they want to do and living a life and they like, oh, yes, I want that. They listen to you. So if your kids aren't listening to you, don't beat them in the head. Don't tell them they ain't nothing and their daddy ain't nothing and that's why they the problem. Don't do that. Educate yourself. And as you educate yourself and start making changes, they will surely come around and say, hey, how you did that? So educate yourself and educate your children. Don't worry about educating other grown folks unless they come to you and they say, hey, have you heard about this? I'm taking this. I want to take that. But oftentimes we get into this pulling of, I'm trying to force feed people into this upgrade, and you cannot force feed people into the upgrade. I already said they've been working for years and decades on this stuff. Now is not the time to shrink. This is not a situation where you can say, you know what, it's coming. Hyacinth told me it's coming. Oh my gosh, she enlightened me. I'm going to shrink and put my head under the covers and hope the boogeyman doesn't get me. No, baby, this is not that. This is not, you put your head over the covers and the boogeyman is not, you wake up in the morning, it's like, oh my God, it was all an illusion. No, this is, you put your head on the covers. The boogeyman comes and sits down next to you on the bed and taps you on the shoulder. And when you look up, you're like, ooh, you're either going to scream in fright and try to put your head back over the covers. That is delaying the movement that's happening. Or the boogeyman going to tap you on the shoulder. Boogeyman, I'm talking about the changes. And you're like, oh, hey, what's up? I've been expecting you. You know what? I've been doing some research on you. I've been reading up on you, and we good. You here, I'm here. You can't take over this space because this is my space. But we good. So no need to try to scare me, right? And so when you think about this, I want you to think about how you can educate yourself beyond what I'm talking about. So there's a lot of talk about cryptocurrency and digital currency. Now we see why digital currency has a place, right? We talk about digital currency. We talk about NFTs. These are things that you do not need to say, that don't got nothing to do with me. That's for them young folks. It is a fad. It is not. Okay? It is not. It is not a fad. It is not a phase. The regulators, they're trying to figure out how they can come in and get a piece of it. They're not going to abolish it. So this is the perfect time for you to be educating on yourself into things that are different. The old ways of doing things, and this includes accumulating wealth, things have changed. You no longer have to go, sit at a boardroom in a high rise and be accepted and ask for a seat at the table to make a whole lot of money. A part of the labor shortage, let me say this, a part of the labor shortage that we're experiencing at lower level jobs is because not everybody was sleeping during lockdown. Not everybody was sleeping and complaining during that time. There were tons of free education out there. I posted about that. I talked about that. All these universities that's offering free education for you to learn how to code, for you to learn how to do all these things that you don't know how to do. They were offering, I'm talking about Harvard, Yale, all these universities were offering free education. So there's a large percentage of people, because I don't want you to think just because you ain't do it, they didn't do it. There's a large percentage of people who said, good God Almighty, this is my chance right now. All this free education, let me sit down and let me learn something so that I can then begin to earn something. And I no longer have to work at a minimum wage job. If that wasn't you, it's okay. You still got time to learn. I just shared something with you. Now you have to figure out, what are you learning? Now you have to figure out, what are you teaching your children? What are you encouraging them? Are you encouraging them to go to a college and a university and to get a degree and do all this stuff? If you don't know, you might want to Google and inform yourself of what's happening at Howard University. You want to ask yourself what's happening. So this is not what our goals are anymore, to follow the status quo. Go to Howard so you can go to HBCU, be a part of this organization, blah, blah, blah. And they got them babies out there sleeping on tents with rats and mold and infestation. Wake up. So empower yourself, be empowered, educate yourself, be intentional, and protect yourself. Protect your mind, protect the mind of your children. I'm going to tell you, some things going to shift. Some of the friends you had, they're not going to be your friends no more. And we ain't mad. We ain't beefing. I got to focus on this, and I can't be focusing on what you focus on. It's no hard feelings, because I need to know this. And I know when we get to the other side, you're going to ask me how I know this. And it's because I had to say no to you a lot over here. Let that be you. Let that be your legacy. Please do not be the people who are standing by saying, what is this? This is crazy. This is history. We are making history right now. I want to give a special shout out to all of you who are here live. Do yourselves a favor and share this. Do your family a favor and share this. Do your community a favor and share this. I know it. I learn it. I'm forever a student. It's a lot that I'm not doing because it's a lot that I am doing. So share this so that you can understand this. Share this so that your community can understand it, and you won't be sitting up 5 years from now left behind, because you're doing the same thing that you were doing 5 years ago. We are in a position, I talked about this, I gave that analogy of that funeral procession. I said we in this space to 2024. By the time 2024 hits, we're going to be in a completely different space. What are you doing? If you didn't watch that, I'd be naming these shows any type of thing. So I don't know. You just got to go back and watch the Saturday shows with me on them. But if you watch them and connect the dots, it will give you everything you need. So share the information. Thank you all so much for being here. It is 10:15. I am late. I'm past due. Okay, stay tuned. Up next, you have Mr. Henderson, James T, and Antonio Woodbury. It is open. What about crypto though? Yes, we're going to talk about that. Educate yourself. It is not a shrink. It's not going away. Crypto is, yeah. Let's get into it, right? And so I'm regulated, right? If you can read between read between the lines and see the glisten in my eye, I can't say too much because the boy's gonna be knocking at my door. Hyacinth, it's not a regulated investment, and you said on your show on Saturday, October 30th, 2021, and so we're not gonna do that. But stay open, educate yourself. All right. So up next, you have Understanding Money Part 2. With Robert Henderson Jr., James T. Thomas, and special guest Antonio Woodbury. They're going to be talking about Medicare. Medicare is such an important topic for our senior citizens. Such an important topic. There's a lot of misinformation, a lot of taking advantage of about insurance. And Medicare we're now in the open enrollment period or annual enrollment. One of them, we're in the EPs, either AEP or OEP. Antonio's the expert. That's why he's going to talk about it. Stay tuned. They'll be up next. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.